What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, roundups and all that good stuff. So we're going to talk just a little bit more about the Revelry, because we now have a better look at some of the items, rewards and quests for the event. We're going to talk about how some of the new buffs and consumables work, but on top of this we're going to touch on a mystery reward package, some potentially hidden quests as well as upcoming content, and we've got a discussion about sandbox, quality of life, and things that Bungie are evaluating for the future, and we've got a few additional news updates and roundups along the way. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, but now let's jump straight into it. So first up, let's talk about some of the new items and rewards that we can see for the Revelry event, and this is going live next week, on Tuesday the 16th of April. And we can see some of these items courtesy of Destiny Sets as well as LightGG, and I'll link both of those sites down below. Really cool databases to check out if you want to look at weapons and items in the game. But now we can see the new ornaments that are coming. So of course we've spotted them on the armor pieces inside of the trailer and stuff, but these are the Reveler's wings, as well as the Reveler's antlers. And these can be equipped to change the appearance of the helmets for the event, and as we can see once again, this item is visible only during the Revelry. So I guess the glows will only kind of work while the event is live. Let us know your thoughts about that down below. But all of these ornaments will drop randomly via the Reveler's Assortment package, and this can be purchased with Reveler's Essence from Eva Levante. On top of this though, you can use the Reveler's Essence to make Reveler's Tonics, and this kind of works a little bit like the holiday oven that we saw for Festival of the Lost. So by the looks of it, you can open it up and actually select a specific effect. But for the Reveler's Tonic, we've got a refreshing fizzy concoction brewed with love and light in recognition of this year's Revelry. And when you're inside of this menu, you can actually use the Reveler's Essence to produce some of these kind of class effects. So you do have the Proud class ability boost, and this will increase the cooldown of class abilities for an hour. On top of this, you can get the grenade boost as well as the melee boost. However, consuming Reveler's Tonic with more of the inaugural armor pieces equipped will actually improve its effect, and this will affect all content in the game, and Cosmo confirmed that includes things like competitive PvP. There are some players with concerns about this, and that has been recognized by Bungie. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out, but yeah, definitely worth bearing in mind that this will affect all different content. But before we can use these, we'll have to go and complete a kind of mini quest to introduce us to the Revelry. And as part of this, we will have to complete a weekly bounty, so the Verdant Explorer bounty, where we'll need to clear 7 branches of the Verdant Forest. And this will award a powerful armor piece from the Revelry as well. So that's definitely cool, and there will be multiple kind of weekly bounties that come up. But on top of this, there are the daily essence bounties, so something like triggering Revelry Light with precision final blows in strikes or raids. And of course, Revelry Light is a new buff that allows players to drop multiple orbs of light on precision kills randomly. You need to create 50 orbs to complete the bounty, but that reward of 25 essence, of course, is going to be pretty useful because we will need 300 essence to actually pick up Arbalest. So as far as we know, that will take 12 different daily bounties to pick up, although Bungie did say that you can unlock Revelry Triumphs towards Arbalest 2, so it may be the case that it requires a certain triumph as well as the currency, or that certain triumphs can actually drop the currency as well. Either way, that is a better look at some of the new items and how they work for this upcoming event, so let us know your thoughts about it down below. Now though, let's talk about some interesting stuff that's in the game, and this isn't necessarily associated with the Revelry. There are these presentation nodes for the last city in the kind of Triumph records, and we can see the Allegiance quest triumphs, but there are 2 more that don't actually have names at the moment. Now one of them has an objective to acquire a ship, and the other one has an objective that needs to be completed at least once, but curiously, these are listed in the last city records, so if this is a thing, which it looks to be, then we don't really know what the reward could be, or even entirely what these records would be. Now the reward itself could be the ship that's referenced in that collection, but we don't know what that's going to look like, but these seem to be further objectives which haven't launched into the game yet. Whether they link specifically to the mysterious lost kind of history package isn't entirely clear, but it is possible that these could be kind of additional parts of the Allegiance quest or something else which is triggered as part of it later on in the season. Let's remember, Bungie did say that we'd see the results of this Allegiance throughout the entire season, but another interesting thing, once again, big spoiler alert here, but we've spoken about that interaction line from the Drifter that references us breaking into an old Cryptarch vault in the original Ruined Tower, and if that's also going to be a thing, then these are almost certainly going to be linked together in some way. So yeah, I'd be very curious to hear what you guys think about this, what it could possibly be. Again, it could be a kind of secret continuation of the Allegiance quest. It could potentially link to another exotic quest which is on the roadmap, available for all players of the game. Now, players are speculating about this, and whether the one that's on the roadmap actually refers to Arbalest, because it's entirely possible that that is the case. However, as we've mentioned before, it doesn't really follow the typical exotic quest format, because Arbalest is purchasable via gameplay currency. So yeah, it's not entirely clear, and while we don't know exactly what all of this stuff means, I think it definitely does indicate that there is something else hidden that's upcoming in the game at some point in the near future. But yeah, on the subject of Arbalest, just to confirm, Bungie have told us that this will be available for all players, and will even go into the general exotic loot table for engrams after the event. Now though, let's talk about some possible future updates, discussion about potential changes in the game, and even some reveals for the game. So I spoke the other day about the fact that Bungie are going to be at Guardian Con this year, and they hinted very strongly that they'll be showing off some pretty cool stuff, and their recommendation is to absolutely get tickets for the event if you can. So Guardian Con is happening July 5th and 6th, and yeah, with Bungie potentially looking for new formats to kind of show off content and engage with the community, it looks like we could get some pretty interesting stuff related to the future content that we might see in fall of this year, and potentially some announcements via Guardian Con as well. That's on top of the fact that it's a really cool charity event, so yeah, I think we've got some pretty cool stuff to look forward to in early July of this year. But some other discussions which may affect changes to the game over the next few seasons. Some folks were talking about competitive and potentially having rank floors for competitive in the future, and DMG said that the team is looking at this feedback, and the introduction of rank floors is something that we looked at prior to the release of Season of the Drifter, but sadly didn't have the resources available to implement and test. He does say though that a look into where this is sitting in the quality of life backlog. And so what this means is that Bungie are potentially looking at having kind of rank lockouts at certain points, which would mean, you know, maybe you could reach Fabled or any subdivision before that, and then if you're to lose games, you potentially wouldn't kind of lose progress beyond that point. This could be a pretty positive change for the general player base if it is something that Bungie does. Of course, this isn't a guarantee that we'll get an update like this, but it's definitely something Bungie have looked at, and while it may not fit into competitive perfectly right now, it could definitely be something that Bungie can implement, you know, if there was further PvP endgame at some point in the future, maybe a return of Trials. Bungie have confirmed though, on the subject of Sandbox, that they are looking at subclasses like Thunder Crash and Ward of Dawn, some potential buffs or reworks in the future, and they are very much aware of the feedback about Spectral Blades, so they're looking at things like the amount of health that the super has right now. Something else that was added to this is that the team is currently looking at feedback, and have seen numerous threads about Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten over the past few months, and in response to a comment that essentially said these weapons are kind of OP, is saying that they are looking at usage stats for these weapons on the back end, but once they have a plan together, they'll let the community know. Now some folks may take that as, oh my god, they're gonna nerf Luna's Howl, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. However, it is a weapon that sees an awful lot of usage right now because, of course, it is a very powerful weapon, but things like Luna's Howl and especially Not Forgotten also require a lot of investment to pick up. At the same time though, I personally think the usage of them is very, very high. There are constantly conversations about what Bungie could do, you know, whether other certain types of weapons need to be buffed, whether they could make changes to weapons like Luna's Howl, so I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about it down below. But once again, this is not a confirmation of a change. Bungie are simply looking at how the weapons are performing and potentially deciding whether a change would be necessary or not. So sound off with your thoughts down below. But because Bungie teased future PvP content and changes that'll probably land in the fall or September DLC and beyond, it's worth adding that they also stated in a recent livestream that Gambit and Gambit Prime isn't Bungie's vision for PvP in the future of the Destiny franchise. They very much see Gambit as its own unique experience, and developers also added that Crucible is going to grow from where it currently is, and the essence of Crucible, being pure PvP, will remain despite any other changes and innovations in the future. So definitely some positive assurances for, you know, pure PvP fans. So there we go, just a few words on stuff that we can expect moving forward. I did also speak about some changes that Bungie are working on for enhancement cores in Season 7, and as you can see, they're working on creating multiple daily bounties to complete, which each reward an enhancement core and 2 mod components, as well as weekly bounties to complete, which grant 1 enhancement core, 1 mod for a weapon or armor, and then other materials or reputation and rank points depending on the objective of the bounty. And specifically, that will be for stuff like Gambit or Valor ranks in PvP and not Glory, and these will be new Gunsmith bounties for Season 7. They are subject to change, and personally I think it's a good time for feedback. As many people have stated, the idea of getting 1 enhancement core from a weekly bounty is not very exciting at all, and from my personal perspective, considering Bungie have been, you know, putting effort into creating these bounties and getting this stuff ready for the next season, I feel like it would go down so much better if even there was a bundle of 5 or 10 enhancement cores for the weekly bounty, right? Some folks may say that that's still not enough, but I think it would be safe to say it would definitely be more appealing than what Bungie have currently put on the table. But again, let us know your thoughts about it down below, and I will link that forum thread. It's absolutely worth going and leaving some constructive feedback at a time like this as Bungie work towards these changes that we'll get in a few weeks' time. But now, just to mention the invitation of the 9 for the week. Firstly, Xur is in the tower, in case you haven't gone to visit him yet. He didn't bring any Year 2 exotics in his main inventory, but as I spoke about in my Xur video, he can now drop Forsaken taken exotics from the Faded Engram, and that does include Lord of Wolves, and I didn't already have this exotic before that, and normally it would be exclusive to the Spider's Bounty, so if you don't have it yet, and you're not having any luck from Spider Bounties, then definitely use the Faded Engram, which does still appear to be on a knockout system, so if there are exotics that you don't have, including Forsaken stuff, it appears that there are pretty high chances to get those dropped when you purchase the Faded Engram. But of course the bounty this week requires us to complete the Garden World Strike, as well as collecting Cabal, Hive, and Vex samples. Now, Cabal and Vex you'll get quite a lot of in the Garden World, but if you get stuck on the Hive kills specifically, if you can rerun the Bug in the System heroic adventure, that is one that features a bunch of Hive at the end, and of course that is on Mars. You do have to be on the location listed in the bounty to get the drops now as well, but once this is done, we can check out the cutscene for the week, so quick spoiler alert, but here it is.
What does it want?
Power.
Like you.
No one is like her.
We don't understand.
She has agency like you wouldn't believe. She can leave this place.
This way. We can leave this place.
Think bigger. She can leave this game.
We don't understand.
Then I'm afraid it's impossible to explain.
Now, in terms of what on earth is going on with this particular encounter, lore masters, I'd love to hear your scoop on this down below. I'm not sure exactly who they're referring to. My hunch is that they're referring to Mara Sov, but I also feel like it's possible that they're referring to the Emissary, because she does potentially refer to herself in third person. I mean, we know that the Emissary can leave the Plains of the Nine as well, and the previous reference to Mara Sov on one of the other invitation weeks kind of suggested that she's trapped and can't necessarily do that. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly who's being referred to. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it down below, but nonetheless, that is the encounter for the week. For now though guys, that is going to summarize today's video, so quite a bit of stuff to talk about. Let us know your thoughts on the Revelry stuff, what that lost history package could be about, any thoughts on that potential hidden quest, or the future updates that Bungie are discussing for the game. But if you've enjoyed this video, a like below is very much appreciated, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more D2 content. Also check out my partners at Gamerlink who have a fantastic LFG app for Android and iOS. You can use it to look for players for Destiny 2 content, and to build clans, persistent teams. You can set up play sessions or just hang out on the app, so if that sounds cool, check it out with the link below. But otherwise guys, thank you as always for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.